Does SCP-3008-1 activate SCP-096 since it has no eyes?
That's a very good question, actually. Good afternoon, Foundation staff. This is Dr. Theron Sherman, and today we are reacting to SCP Shower Thoughts. Today we are looking at the SCP Wyatt YouTube channel. We're going to run through his questions and give him some answers. Now, these answers are just my opinion. You're all very good researchers. I'm sure you can come up with your own. And in fact, if you can come up with any good answers to these questions or your own SCP Shower Thoughts, then maybe we can react to SCP Shower Thoughts from the audience in the future. Doesn't that sound nice? Sounds good to me. Let's get into it.
What would happen if you laid down in front of SCP-173 and closed your eyes? Would he still be able to grab you or just kick you a lot?
SCP-173, standing in front of you, would timber, snap your neck, and squish you, so insult to injury.
If SCP-106 is made of a corrosive substance that melts everything it touches, how does he still have a jacket on? And I guess that explains why he has no pants.
So, SCP-106, the old man's jacket, is obviously made of some sort of special, supernatural, anomalous, superhero material. Just like the Flash doesn't get friction burns, this is somehow an intrinsic property of, unfortunately, not its pants, but its jacket. Superhero material. Next question.
If SCP-087 is an infinite staircase, can we just throw all of our trash down it and solve the global garbage problem? Get on that, Mark Rober.
We probably could, but we wouldn't, because obviously, then we can't study the staircase properly. And also, it would probably be very unsanitary for the scary hovering face. So, while it would probably work, we're not gonna. It's bad for research. Next question.
What if the pestilence SCP-049 is always worried about is a disease we already cured in humanity, like smallpox? Which is why we never know what he's talking about, but he's just so old he doesn't know that we already cured it.
So, 049, touchy subject for me. Don't like that guy. Here's the thing. We have, over the course of our research, poured over dozens and dozens and dozens of textbooks, of notes, of encyclopedias of disease. If it were something like smallpox, something that we've eradicated, we would know. Because, come on, you know that we've got not only every disease known to man in some testing chamber, but we've got anomalous diseases that the regular folks don't know about. So, yeah, 049 is unfortunately still outside of our understanding because we've tried it all. Next question.
How much safer would containment breaches be if the NTF were always just already out the facility?
So first of all, every site does have its own security staff. The thing is, they just have a limited amount of forces and resources, just like any organization. And so, yeah, we can't have the fully armed mobile task force and nine-tailed fox at every facility, because then they would be that site's security force. And these people are only so heavily equipped because they're going out in the field where they need every resource at their disposal immediately, stuff that our security forces actually already have on hand in sight. So it's not, I mean, if we stuck them there full time, then they wouldn't be a mobile task force. They would be a stationary task force. That's what our security forces can tend to be, the STF. Next question.
Do human SCPs like Plague Doctor need to use the bathroom? SCP-173 does, so does that mean SCPs get dedicated bathroom breaks every now and then?
Yes, obviously anomalies that are humanoid and sometimes not even humanoid in nature have certain needs. And so we have a whole ethics committee whose job is to figure out, what do we feed these guys? What are their bathroom facility necessities? And so, yeah, we got it handled. Don't worry about it. We're very ethical. No one is entirely disappointed and disheartened. In fact, that would be bad for business. So we treat all these guys super well. Don't look into it. Next question.
What would happen if you looked at SCP-096 and then immediately took Amnestics to forget what he looked like? Would he still try to attack you?
So here's the thing about 096. Even with the tiniest sliver of knowledge of its face, remember, 4 fucking pixels. Even with that tiniest sliver, if you know what its face looks like, you are going to get it. And if you don't want to get it, don't look at the picture. But this does leave an interesting hypothetical. Because if you were to, depending on the kind of amnestic you used, you would still, somewhere in your subconscious, have 096's face. It is very common for people who go under amnestic treatment to get nestic treatment. Nestics are the opposite of amnestics. The nestics help you remember what you forgot, either in the case of antimemetics or if you've been amnesticized, you can use Amnestics to get that back. So the only way that this strategy would work for 096 is if there were an amnestic in hand that had such a strong delete effect that it completely erased it from your brain, just full stop. Because then if that knowledge isn't in your brain, 096 isn't coming. Or maybe if we could isolate it down to the neuron, then we could surgically remove that part of your brain and the lobotomy would take 096 out of your brain. But likely it would be a very drastic treatment and in a very limited amount of time, so probably not going to go great. Next question.
Would SCP-173 be a horrible Twitch streamer?
Well, first of all, yes, because we're not putting the SCPs on Twitch. It's a terrible idea. Secondly, I mean, yes, because if you can see it, then it stops moving, and so it's not going to be very entertaining. Although, I mean, the original version of the statue is a piece in an art museum, so maybe there is a market for Twitch streams of museums where you can ponder the art. That could be fun. Next question.
SCP-096 versus 682. Who would win? Would 096 stop attacking 682 if he fully destroyed him but then came back to life, or do they just fight forever?
So, 682, hard to destroy reptile. 096, the shy guy. Knockout brawl, my thought process is 682 can't be destroyed. We know this. Especially, 096 doesn't have a large arsenal. It just has slashy, slashy, claws, claws. And so, my feeling here is that, yeah, 096 would go after 682, go after 682, but I think 682 has enough physical determination and ways to adapt to being slashed at. So eventually, although 096 has a very strong physiology itself, we know that we were able to take chunks of meat off the bone when we shot at it. So eventually 682 would destroy 096. Not that we're going to test it, because then we can't research them anymore. Next question.
Does SCP-3008-1 activate SCP-096 since it has no eyes?
That's a very good question, actually. So it depends on what kind of sense the 3008-1s have, and if it allows them to see the details of 096's face. Because, I mean, echolocation, I think, might not do it unless you get to like a Daredevil level of I can see with echolocation even though I'm blind. But standard echolocation, maybe? I'm not echolocating myself, so I'm not exactly sure how it functions. Send that over to the sound department. But most of the time, I mean, the idea is if you can understand its facial structure, you will get eaten. So the 3008-1s, I'm going to give it a maybe. Next question.
Can you push over SCP-173 and make it useless?
So, can you push over SCP-173 and make it useless? No, because we tried it. We tipped that thing over so it's sitting there on its legs and its two little nub arms. And then when you blinked, it skittered across the floor like a little horizontal missile and headbutted the D-class's kneecaps. Very unpleasant. Next question.
Are blind people immune to SCP-2316? How many other SCPs are useless against the blind?
Now, I can't speak to every anomaly in the archive. I mean, there's over 8,000 articles on the English language version of the database alone. I don't know them all. There's so many in containment and still out of containment. So I can't speak in, let's just speak about what we got here. For 096, again, if you're blind, you can't see what its face is, you're clear. That's easy. But 2316 is a little different because there's more of a cognitive resistance value situation. It's more mimetic in nature. I have a feeling that 2316 might, you know what? I'm going to check the archive. Let's have a look-see. I'm going to look up SCP-2316 blind. And must show results with blind. Yep, people are joking about face blindness and how that might help them. After consulting 2316 on the database, there's a lot of sound-related things here. And so specifically for 2316, I have a feeling that you could still be caught by the cognitohazard, even if you're blind. 096, I think you're safe as long as you are completely blind. 2316, I think you're in trouble. Next question.
Stick with me here. If the GOC are sworn to destroy every SCP, what happens when they find SCP-682?
So, obviously, they're going to try to destroy 682 because the GOC wants to destroy, that's their whole thing, unless they can use the anomaly to destroy other anomalies. And unfortunately, 6A2 is not likely to help them very much in that task. It's not a very targetable weapon. So I have a feeling that they're going to try, and hell, if they get too uppity, maybe it's a good way to keep them occupied for a couple of years. But yeah, I don't think that's going to work. They'll come to the same conclusion. They'll lock them in the acid tank, and they'll lock them down, and that'll be the end of that. Next question.
If you ask SCP-294 for a cup of Joe, it will take a piece of somebody nearby named Joe and put that into a cup. So can you do that to extract like a tumor from Joe, or take a gun or a weapon from somebody, or steal somebody's wallet?
Interesting hypothetical. So targeted Joe body parts. Time to go to the 294 on the database. So obviously we got some random fluids from Joe. I know there's a testing log in here somewhere. We've done it! Yes! The final test on 294, we got a cup of D151839's leukemia and received the leukemia. And then D151839, we really got to truncate these numbers a little bit. That D class no longer had leukemia, but it came back within 15 days, so it didn't work exactly as you would like. Now, looking at the database for the weapon idea and the wallet idea, it seems that in the database of testing, we've done immaterial concepts and different kinds of liquid, but it doesn't seem like we've stolen a wallet or a gun or a physical object that can't be a liquid. So it doesn't seem like those will be as viable, but hey, what are you going to do? We continue testing to find out. Next question.
What happens if you hug SCP-173 from behind and close your eyes? Does he spin around forever trying to get you, or do nothing because he's only ever wanted a hug?
Now, before I get into this shower thought, I just want to point out, for those who don't know, this image of SCP-173, the original statue, has been taken off the SCP Wiki because it was copyrighted to the statue's owner. We don't use it in context of SCP because we want to respect the artist whose stuff we stole from for years. The original author of SCP-173 did not want a new photo put up, so instead there is a gallery of fan-made ones. Some of them are really dope. A lot of them are being used in SCP games. There's even a couple by Trevor Henderson, if I remember right. So yeah, just don't use the SCP-173 image original in relation to stuff, especially not for selling stuff. Big illegal on that one. Don't worry about SCP Wyatt knows this is an older video. We've talked about it in the past, so don't bother him about it. Now, to answer the question, what happens if you hold on to 173's back and then close your eyes? It's not going to spin around all silly Billy. It's not going to, oh, I just wanted a hug and stop. It's going to backward slam you into a wall, break your spine and your neck probably, and you're done. Next question.
If the point of SCP-55 is that we don't remember anything about it, how do we know it's definitely not a sphere?
So, we know it's not a sphere because you can't remember what 055 is. You can only remember what 055 isn't. I had to sit here for 5 minutes off camera trying to remember that we had an 055 so that I could answer this question for you about what it is or it isn't, and it definitely isn't a sphere. We know that it isn't a sphere. We also know a bunch of things that it isn't. We just don't know what it is. Next question.
Prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness, makes it so that some people can't recognize other people by their own faces. Does that mean they won't trigger SCP-096 since they might not even know what they're looking at?
So, my understanding of face blindness is that you're not recognizing that you're seeing a face. You're recognizing that you're looking at parts of a face, but you can't tell faces apart. And so because you could still see 096's face and all the composite parts, you would still be subject to 096 ripping you to shreds. Unfortunately. Next question.
Can SCP-3008's infinite Swedish meatballs be used to end world hunger? Because that'd be pretty awesome.
I mean, it'd be nice. Those are some tasty, tasty meatballs. But the problem is we would have to get into 3008, get to the meatballs, and then get them out again in some sort of traveling caravan. And one of the problems with 3008 is that the interior rearranges from time to time. So our team caravanning the meatballs would get back to find no doorway out and would be trapped. So unfortunately, this is not a viable idea as tasty as it would be. Next question.
What happens if you keep SCP-173 in an enclosed glass hamster wheel and then look away from him? Is it free energy?
SCP-173 moves at a speed that it would Kool-Aid Man through the wheel. Next question.
What happens when SCP-012 is completed? Like, it runs out of pages. Are people still compelled to complete it? Like, do they just write on the floor, or does it become neutralized?
So, I'm pretty sure that a specific quality of SCP-012 is that it continually adds more paper, doesn't it? To archaeologist, handwritten score, Mount Golgotha, large piece of sheet music, No, it doesn't add music. It's not physically weird like that. My prediction here is that part of the psychological issue is that even those who are able to finish a section immediately themselves and declare the piece to be impossible to complete. So it doesn't matter how many D-class that we throw at this thing, it's still not going to get done because they'll just start doing smaller and smaller things going toward infinity. And you know, how do you judge artistic merit on a music piece like this, right? So, unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to ever get the answer to the end of that song. It's just not worth the resources. Next question.
When you think about it, the Chaos Insurgency and every other group of interest are really just proof that the SCP Foundation is horrible at keeping secrets, right? After you subscribe...
Excuse me? No, that's not proof of anything like that. You're completely wrong, SCP Wyatt. Listen. We, as an organization, have been around for, say, 100, 150 years in most universes, in most canons, while anomalies have been around for the entirety of reality in most universes, in most canons. And so, of course, other people know anomalies exist, and they have their own philosophies on what to do with them. In fact, some of them, like Dr. Wondertainment, are making anomalies. And so our job at the Foundation is to maintain normalcy, of which I think we've done a pretty good job because most of the population of the planet does not know that there are anomalies. Just these random groups of interest out there who we compete with because they have different philosophies on what to do with anomalies. I disresemble your remark, good sir. Good day. Well, accepting that last shower thought, that was a stimulating mental exercise. Thank you very much, SCP Wyatt. And if you Foundation fans out there enjoyed his stuff, make sure to check out his content and subscribe. But before you go, if you have different answers to the shower thoughts than I did, we're all researchers here. It's a friendly discussion. Have it down in the comments. Let's see what we can figure out science-wise. And share your own SCP shower thoughts so we can do Site42 Reacts to your shower thoughts in the future. See you in the next video. Secure, contain, protect. Thank you for listening. Site42 Studios and its staff are funded by viewers like you. Please become a patron or visit our merch store at the link in our bio to support our work. Secure, contain, protect.